You can ignore it, try to forget, pretend you don't feel it, but everything comes back. In every corner, in every face, in every random moment of the day, something reminds you of that memory. No matter where you go, this presence follows you, surrounds you, calls you. Fate is pushing you toward a reunion, and this time there's no escape. The question is, will you continue to run or will you face what's always been there? No more running, fate won't allow it. You might even pretend you've forgotten. You could go on with your life as if nothing has happened, as if certain things don't matter. But deep down you know that's not true. Something pulls you back even when you try to avoid it. The name still echoes. The presence is still there, invisible yet suffocating. There's no way to erase it. You tell yourself it's in the past, that everything is resolved, that certain stories just end. But if it were that simple, why does everything keep reminding you? Why in random moments does that feeling come back like a shock to your chest? Why even without wanting to, does your mind always find a way to return to the same place? Fate has strange ways of collecting what's left unfinished. It could be a dream that comes out of nowhere, a song playing softly in the background, a scent on the street. Small details that on their own mean nothing but together scream a truth you're trying to ignore. This isn't over. And now, how long will you pretend you don't feel anything? How long will you run from something that pursues you? What are you postponing? What do you fear finding if you simply stop and confront it head on? Because one thing is certain, it will happen. Sooner or later the paths will cross again. You can try to hide, avoid certain places, push away thoughts, occupy yourself with useless distractions. But none of that changes the fact that deep down you already know. Are you ready to face the inevitable? Because this chance could be your last. Because ignoring doesn't change anything. Running away doesn't solve the problem. Pretending you've moved on doesn't erase what still burns inside. You might try to convince yourself that it's just a passing thought, a random memory. But what if it's not? What if this is a warning? Destiny doesn't insist for no reason. It places signs along the way, small details that seem like coincidences, but they're not. All the time, something pulls you back to that name, to that story that remains unresolved. Something forces you to remember, to feel, to ask yourself, what if? But it's not just memory. It's not just longing. It's deeper. Something is still there waiting. Something that wasn't said, that wasn't resolved. Something that isn't finished. And no matter how hard you try to move on, a part of you is still stuck in that moment, in that last conversation, in that lingering gaze. And now, will you keep pretending that none of this matters? Will you push it to the back of your mind as if you can just erase it? Because one thing is certain, the more you try to bury it, the more it comes back. The harder you try to forget, the stronger it becomes. What is destiny trying to show you? What needs to be faced before it's too late? Because one day there won't be any escape, and when that moment comes, will you be ready? Because it will come. No matter how much you try to delay, avoid, or ignore it, destiny doesn't forget, doesn't give up, doesn't tire. It pushes, forces, guides, and when the time is right, when there's nowhere left to run, everything you've ignored will be right there in front of you, demanding an answer. What will you do? Will you continue pretending you don't feel anything? Will you act as if the past has no power over you? Or will you finally admit that some things simply don't go away, don't crumble, don't disappear? It could be an unexpected reunion, a glance crossed in the middle of chance, a moment when time stops and everything returns, a moment when the heart races and words disappear. Because when what was dormant awakens, there's nothing that can prevent the impact. The past has a cruel way of proving that it was never just the past. It transforms into an inevitable present, into a future that cannot be avoided. And now, you need to choose. Are you going to distance yourself again? Are you going to make excuses to keep running away? Or will you finally face the truth? The answer is closer than you think. And the time to decide is running out. Have you not understood yet? This is not over. You feel it. Every day, every night. No matter what you do, where you go, who you try to be, that presence is still there. You try to distract yourself, keep your mind occupied, move on as if everything is resolved. But deep down, you know it's not. There's something that still pulses, still weighs, still calls your name. And no matter how much you try to escape, Fate is persistent. It doesn't forget. It doesn't give up. It doesn't allow you to simply erase something that still needs to be lived, resolved, understood. It's not an ordinary memory. It's not just nostalgia. It's a connection that was never broken, and you know it. But until when will you ignore it? You've already realized that no matter how many times you try to run away, you always end up back at the same point. The coincidences are too many to be just coincidences. The name shows up out of nowhere. The song you listen to together plays at a random moment. Someone mentions something that only the two of you understood. And no matter how much you try to pretend you feel nothing, your heart reacts. It always reacts, so tell me. Until when? Until when will you continue denying what is obvious? Fate has already given you all the signs. Now all that's left is for you to decide to see them. Time is running out, and you are losing. Every day that passes is one less day. Every ignored chance is a risk. You have no guarantees. Nothing in this life is eternal. What if it's too late? What if this is the last time fate gives you that opportunity? Can you live with the doubt? Can you spend the rest of your life wondering what would have happened if you had had the courage? The problem is that you think you have time, but the truth is that no one does. Are you ready to live with the regret of not trying? Because when that door closes, it might never open again. What's holding you back? Fear, pride, doubt? What ties you to that unfinished past that makes you run away from what you already know needs to be done? You know it's not too late. But you also know that time waits for no one. This story isn't over yet. But it could end in a way you don't want. The decision is yours, and now, what are you going to do? You can't put this off forever. Fate has already shown the signs. It has placed the clues in your path. It has given you every opportunity. But how long will you insist on pretending you don't see? How long will you ignore the messages, the unexpected encounters, the moments when, for a second, the past invades the present and you feel everything again? Do you think you're in control? Do you think you can just leave this behind and move on as if nothing happened? But fate doesn't work like that. What needs to be lived will be lived. What needs to be said will be said. And you can try to delay. You can pretend you don't feel anything. You can tell yourself that it's already over, but deep down, you know it hasn't passed. Have you ever wondered why this still haunts you? If it were truly resolved, why does it still hurt? If it didn't matter anymore, why does it still affect you? If it had really ended, why does your heart still race at the thought of it? Why do some connections never fade? Why are there stories that don't end when we want them to? Because fate has a cruel way of pulling us back to what we try to forget. And no matter how many times you try to deny, ignore, or run away, it won't stop haunting you until you confront it head-on. And if this is your last chance, if fate were giving you one final warning, would you be ready to listen? What if this is the last time that door opens? What if, after some time, you realize you lost the only real opportunity to resolve this? What hurts more? The fear of facing the truth now, or the regret of never having tried? Because you know that once this chance slips away, there's no going back. Will you keep choosing pride over truth? You have two options. Pretend that you don't feel anything. Push it to the back of your mind and continue this charade, carrying a burden that will never let you find peace. Gather courage and confront what needs to be faced. Have the conversation you've always avoided. Say what's been stuck in your throat. Do what fate has already made clear needs to be done. The choice is yours. But remember this, some chances only come once, and when this one is gone, you may never have another. And now? Will you run or will you fight for what still can be yours? Time is running out. Fate is waiting, but it doesn't wait forever. The question is, how long will you keep denying what you already know? Silence won't protect you. You might try to silence that voice inside you. You can pretend you've moved on. You might even convince the world that you're okay, that you've advanced, that nothing affects you anymore. But deep down, you know it's a lie. Because silence doesn't protect you. It just makes the burden harder to carry. Every unsaid word, every swallowed truth, every suffocated feeling transforms into a weight you carry without realizing it. And the longer it goes on, the heavier it becomes. Until when? Until when will you keep pretending that everything is fine? You've already wasted too much time. How many days have you spent trying to forget? How many nights of sleep have been stolen by this memory that insists on coming back? How many moments of your life have been wasted in this fight against something that, deep down, has never ceased to exist? You can deny it to others. You can even deny it to yourself, but you cannot deny it to fate. It knows, it sees, it reminds you, whenever it can, that this story is not over. And now, will you continue to postpone the inevitable? Or will you finally gather the courage to face what needs to be faced? What else needs to happen for you to understand? How many more signs do you need? How many coincidences? How many unexpected encounters? How many sleepless nights until you realize this isn't going to disappear? Fate has already done its part. Now the decision is yours. Will you keep running away? Or will you confront the truth once and for all? Because one thing is certain. If you keep ignoring it, regret will be a burden you carry forever. Time is running out. And the question that remains is, what will you do before it's too late? You know what you need to do. There are no more excuses. There is no more room for pretending. Fate has laid all the answers before you, but the decision is still yours and now. Will you keep pretending this doesn't matter? Will you let doubt gnaw at you for the rest of your life? Or will you finally take action? Because the truth is simple. If you don't do anything now, you will regret it later. And there's nothing worse than living with the question, what if? Fear cannot be greater than the truth. If the only thing holding you back is fear, then you already have your answer. Fear lies. It makes you believe that it's better to avoid, that it's safer not to try. But what if you are wrong? What if everything you want, everything your heart knows you need, is on the other side of this fear? What if running away now means losing the only real chance to change everything? Destiny doesn't wait forever. You feel like you're getting closer, as if something is about to happen, as if time is running out. Because it is. Destiny doesn't wait for the uncertain. It shows the paths but doesn't force anyone to follow. The choice is yours. But afterward, don't complain about the emptiness. Don't say you didn't know, because you did. You just didn't have the courage to act. This story isn't over. But it can end if you don't move. Maybe this is the last time destiny gives you this chance. Maybe after this it will be too late. You can keep fooling yourself, or you can finally take a step in the right direction. The decision is in front of you. And now, what are you going to do? There is no more time for doubts. You've felt this before. That strange feeling, that tightness in your chest, that thought that comes out of nowhere, bringing you back to the same point. This doesn't happen by chance. Destiny has already given you all the signs. It has pushed you to this moment in every way possible, yet even so you resist. Why? Out of fear? Out of pride? Because you think you can just ignore it and wait for everything to disappear? The truth is harsh, but it needs to be said. Time doesn't wait for anyone. And if you do nothing now, this story may end in a way you don't want. What are you waiting for? Do you believe you'll wake up one day and simply feel nothing anymore? That suddenly everything will resolve itself? If it were meant to be that way, it would have already happened. But it hasn't. Because some things need to be faced, not forgotten. Time may pass, circumstances may change, but what is true never completely disappears. And deep down, you know this. You feel it. You live this truth every day. You've already lost a lot. Are you going to lose more? How many opportunities have passed you by? How many chances did you let slip away, thinking there would be another? But what if there isn't? What if this is the last time fate offers you this choice? If you don't take action now, will you be able to handle the regret later? Because one thing is certain, time doesn't turn back. And the question that remains is, are you going to do something, or are you going to let this story fade away forever? The decision is yours, but time is running out. You can keep pretending that none of this matters. You can ignore the signs. You can hide behind pride. You can postpone the inevitable. But do you know the truth? It's not going to go away. You feel it. You think about it. You know it. Fate doesn't shout for no reason. It whispers, it nudges, it lays everything out in front of you so you understand. This story isn't over yet. And now? Are you going to continue waiting for everything to sort itself out? Are you going to let pride make the decisions for you? Or are you finally going to take action before it's too late? Because one thing I can guarantee, if you don't do something now, you'll spend the rest of your life asking, what if? Do something. Time is ticking. If this message resonated with you, comment here. I know it's not over yet. I want to know how many people feel this same truth. And if you don't want to miss more signs like this, subscribe to the channel right now. Hit the bell and give it a like so that this message reaches those who need to hear it. Fate has already played its part. Now, the choice is yours.